How's it? Today is Wednesday, January 13th, and it's a clean and jerk day. I just have, these million sets all over again. Um, Basically, what I did last week, I'm just going heavier today. Going heavier on everything except the last two accessory work exercise. So, last week I thought that 5 sets of three on my top weight was a little bit much. I asked Steve just to make sure because sometimes he says about 5 total sets, so like it includes the workup sets. But nope, he just meant straight sets at 85, so that's what I did last week. And this week I'm doing 5 triples at 90, and this is my last warm up set. I actually ended up tweaking my upper back on one of these, and it kind of doesn't feel super great. It's not when I'm pushing, it's when I catch it from overhead back onto my shoulders. I'm actually not super sure which one it is, but I think I'll be able to point it out from watching all of them. But for the most part, I'm just trying to get through these. I'm not thinking too much about my technique. I know that that can bite me in the butt in the future, but I think overall, this is not a weight that requires me to think super hard as far as the jerk or the power jerk goes. It's just a matter of me getting through them all. I'm able to dip well, I'm able to push well, I'm able to receive well. So, like this here, that's the rep. That was the rep that felt terrible. You can see there that like my chest was a little bit more open, so then it when I caught it, it put my upper back in a really bad position. Here's my last set, and so all of these I'm super aware of how to catch them now because my upper back was just kind of screaming like right in the middle of my back. But I made them all. I didn't miss anything, and so I move into the block power cleans, which are exactly like last week, 5 triples at that same weight that I power jerked. So I went up to 90. Last week I think I took a little bit more warm-up sets, but today this is what I did, and yeah, it's not too much to say about that. Pretty fine. These are the higher blocks from last week, but I think they are still a little bit shorter than I would like, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to handle that. So I know Steve mentioned that it's either go lower or go higher. And if I don't have any options to go higher, then I probably will end up just going lower. Because being right in the middle, right at my patella or my kneecaps, it's the most awkward position to be in. Because that's the furthest out the bar will ever be when I'm pulling from the ground, which will tend to make it feel like I'm a little bit behind the bar. But even for these, I'm still able to maintain over the bar, and I think these are a lot better than last week. Last week was kind of a weight that I could just manhandle, so I didn't have to think too much about my positions. 90 is kind of approaching that area where my technique does matter. So here's my last set. I'm trying my best to not throw my hips. That issue that I was experiencing over winter break. It's working out, I guess, for me being a little bit more conscious of that. So after that, I did some straight leg deadlifts, which I am not a fan of. I'd much rather do the Romanian deadlift, which is basically the same range of motion, but instead of starting from the ground, I'm starting at my hip. It's a little more controlled from the hip, and I feel more in control. I guess that makes sense because it's being more controlled. I just feel like I'm able to manipulate my body to be in better positions. Here's my first set of three. This is 105. So last week I did 100. If I recall correctly, I don't remember the percentages. I think he said like 15 to 20% above whatever I clean on the day. So I clean 90. So if I go 10% up from 90 is 99. So 20% would be like 108. So I'm in that range, right? I don't know if you could hear that, but I pursed my lips together and it made that elephant sound. Yeah, these are just not a fun exercise for me. I don't feel like I'm doing them correctly, per se. It feels like I'm able to push with my legs, which is typically not supposed to happen when you're doing a straight-legged deadlift. Like, it feels like I can push through my quads. It feels like I'm sort of pushing through the midfoot, and that is kind of incorrect. That's an incorrect way to execute the movement. So I'm glad those are over. And then I set up a better seal row from last week. Last week was a little bit shorter and a lot less weight, so I'm happy with how this turned out. I think I could probably do a lot more weight, even more than today. It's a pretty good setup there, so I'm happy about that. And then again, the overhead dumbbell walk is something I can't increase the weight on. These are 70 pounds always, because that's the heaviest dumbbell they have here. And then I end off the workout with my back extensions. Back extensions, I could add weight, but it's not something I've done. And Steve did talk about adding some weight in the new training cycle, so this cycle. But I don't know if he remembers or if he changes plans or whatnot. But I'm just keeping my 45 reps twice a week. So yeah, no fuss about that. I like these. I like the way they feel, and I think they contribute a lot to my core health, like my lower back and my abs. But yeah, that's it for today. Pretty long one. Pretty happy with how it turned out. Thank you for watching. Shoots.